Hello and welcome to Emanuel Echo, our school podcast, to tell you a little bit about aspects of life at Emanuel for current and prospective parents and pupils. Emanuel Echo. My name's Stuart Turner. I'm one of the deputy heads here at Emanuel School, and today we're talking about the transition from primary school to secondary school. I've got a number of different guests with me now who are going to introduce themselves and tell me their favourite thing about being at Emanuel. So first of all, Mrs. Chetwood.
Hello, so I'm Rachel Chetwood and I'm head of the lower school. I also teach maths and I'm a mum at the school as well. And my favourite thing is that at the end of the day, I can't get rid of pupils. I have to make them leave at the end of the day. They love it here so much.
Very good, thank you very much. And Miss Wells.
So I'm Sophie Wells. I'm the head of Year 7 and also a teacher of biology here at Emanuel. And I would have to say my favourite thing about Emanuel is how genuinely interested everybody is in seeing what everybody else is doing in school and also outside of school. And that's really evident from the conversations that you hear around the corridors. Everybody wants everybody else to succeed in one way or another, which I think is really lovely and helps to breed a real sense of warmth around the school.
Brilliant. Thank you very much indeed. Let's go over to Gracie.
My name's Gracie. I'm in Year 7 and my favourite thing is the drama department.
Great. Thank you very much indeed, Gracie.
Hi, my name's Sofia and I also love the drama department, but I also really enjoy the sports department.
Hi, my name's Idris. I also love the drama department, but my favourite other thing is probably the library.
So we've got 3 pupils and 2 staff, and we're going to be thinking about now what it's like to move from a primary setting to secondary school here at Emanuel, and we hope it's a really useful discussion to help guide those people who are in that stage of thinking at the moment. First of all, let's cast our minds back, and this is to you pupils. This time last year, or the year before indeed, when you were waiting to join the school, what kinds of things were on your mind? What kind of concerns did you have before you were joining secondary school?
So I was worried about making friends and like if I'd have any friends, but luckily I have lots of friends and I'm really happy because everybody's really nice here at the school.
Very good. I think that is a real common concern actually for lots of people when they're joining a new community. I don't know if there's anything that you'd like to say about that, Mrs. Chetwood. How do we go about helping those friendship and those bonds follow one another in the early weeks and months of school?
So I think the main thing, whatever school or whatever you do new in life, is actually just to be really, really busy. So what we do at Emanuel is we give pupils lots of opportunities in terms of clubs and activities, and they find actually within the first few days that they make friends really quickly because they're so busy doing so many different things.
Sophia, so how about you? Before you started, what kinds of things were on your mind?
I was quite worried about like the transport to and from school because I come on the train, and also who I was going to go with. Originally it was like a 2-minute walk from my house, and then now it takes longer to go on the train.
And is it okay on the train?
Yeah, it's actually really fun because I think you get to know people when you come to school together.
Yeah, good. And it's what is it, like 5-minute walk up from Clapham Junction, I guess?
Yeah, I'd say it's about like 10-minute walk from Clapham Junction, and then also if you're on the train you meet new people.
Good. I often do that journey on my route in, and I reckon there's probably about 300 people every morning who are making that short trip up from Clapham Junction to here. Very good. Brilliant. So thinking particularly about friendships, one of the things that we do early on is we run some activities days for our new joiners. Miss Wells, do you want to tell us a little bit about those?
So before term starts in September, we have a welcome and prep event where Year 6 and Year 7 pupils joining us in September will come and meet their form tutor, meet the other people that will be in their form group, and that's a really lovely event to sort of ease any worries or concerns over the summer. Having that sense of already knowing a few people is really, really successful. We then have an induction day in September as well, before the first day of school. There'll be icebreaker activities, a tour of the school, and again it's an opportunity to get to know the form tutor and other pupils in the form group.
Brilliant, thank you very much. And Gracie, how did you find those events when they came around for you?
I found them like quite fun and very useful because I got to know like loads of the people in my form, and also I got to know my way around the school.
Yeah, good. Any other reflections on those events, guys?
As Gracie said, I thought that it was really nice to like meet some of the pupils and also have just a tour around the school and see like what sort of clubs you could do and what events they have during the school term.
They also gave us like information about what you said about clubs and activities that were coming up or that we could join. And there was a stage where there were lots of tables where you could sign up to lots of clubs, and I found that really interesting. I joined so many clubs there.
Very good. And Mrs. Chetwood, so the activity days, what happens on those exactly? You're in charge of organising those for us.
So on an activity day, pupils in Year 6 and Year 7 will take the day out of their normal timetable, and then they will actually just do really fun team building activities through the day. So it's quite nice because it happens in the third week of term. So everybody tends to know everybody else's name by that point in time, but they then really get to know each other well when they're doing the different challenges that they need to do during the day.
One of the things about Emanuel School is we do take pupils from a large number of different settings and a large number of different schools. I think in a typical year, when we've got about 50 children joining us into Year 6 and then another 100 joining us into Year 7, it's possible for there to be as many as 60 schools where their children are drawn from in that group of 100 coming into Year 7, and then maybe 25 or 30 schools for that group of 50 coming into Year 6. How was it for you guys? Did you come alone, or were there other people from your school who joined with you at the same time?
From my old school, though, I think there was about 7 pupils, and we all kind of knew each other, whether they had joined in Year 6 or not, because I think quite a few of the students had joined in Year 6. But what really helped is that it meant, because I had people from my old school, there was always like a friendly face that I knew. And then as I started to find other people, but it just helped to know, like, I'd know someone.
So on the first day, I only had one person in my class from my old school, and I didn't really know them too well. So I just made friends with other people. But then at lunch, I met someone from my old school, and then we kind of went around the place and like got to know Emanuel together.
How about you, Idris? Did you join with others?
So I had 2 other people. One of them was in my class, and it was like, as Sofia said, it was really nice to have a group of people to hang out with, because from like the first week you're settling in and trying to like find a group of friends that you'll be like really good friends with.
Very good. So a number of you have touched upon sort of different activities that you enjoy doing at the school. So what kinds of things are there that you do outside of lesson times?
So I do drama club on a Tuesday, and it's really fun, and they run trips for drama club and also like musical trips. And then I also do Doctor Who club, which is really fun. And yeah,
I as well do drama club, and as well as that I do strength and conditioning on a Monday or a Wednesday, where I find that really helpful. As well as this, I also originally did running club on a Friday morning, and I felt that was really helpful because it helped me to get to know other people, which led to us creating a team that we could go to competitions with.
I do a bunch of clubs as well, but also earlier in the year I did the musical, the whole school musical, and I found that really fun, and I got to know other people, like even though they weren't in my year.
Very good, and we enjoyed that musical. Thank you very much indeed, Gracie. So just thinking a little bit about the pastoral care structure, which Mrs. Chetwood and Miss Wells are very much part of. Would one of you be able to give us a quick summary of how that works for each individual child?
So the main point of contact for every Year 6 and 7 child, and any child in the school really, is their form tutor. That's the person that will see the pupil every single day, and they get a really good understanding of the academic side of their life and also the sort of co-curricular side of their life. So they really are such an important person for the pupil. Scaling up from there, we then have the head of year, and then the head of section, and then Mr. Kothakota, who oversees all of the pastoral side of school life.
Brilliant, thank you very much. So I guess what Miss Wells is saying there's a number of different people involved, but the tutor is the person who's the most important touch point. How often do you guys see your tutor, and how do you get along with them?
So Miss Vincent is my form tutor, and we see our form tutors every morning. Also, if we have form assembly, then we see them during form assembly, and they'll teach us life ed once a week. I've got to know Miss Vincent really well, and I think that I feel comfortable to go and tell her anything if I needed to know anything, or any information if I had any worries.
So my form tutor is Mr. Mackenzie, and as Sofia said, I would see him like every morning and then also sometimes in form assembly. But he was also my computing teacher, and he's really nice and friendly. And also, as Sofia said, I can feel like I can tell him like if there's anything going on which I feel like I can't really tell another adult in my life.
Life Ed was mentioned there, Mrs. Chetwood. What is Life Ed? Because that might be something that not everybody's aware of.
So we have a subject called life education. That is often called PSHE in other schools. So it's the subject in which you might learn about RSE, relationships, sex, health education, but you might also be looking at something like, I don't know, how to do public speaking, and that might lead into a public speaking competition. So it's that subject which is those things that are outside of the classroom and to do with everything that you actually will do in your real life.
Brilliant. What, guys, have you taken from your life education lessons recently?
So we've been learning about things like friendships and how to manage toxic friendships or relationships, and I think I found that interesting, and I've learned quite a few things about what is like to see in a friendship.
And we had study skills sessions, so we would learn different techniques for studying, and when we were revising for our end of year exams, that was really helpful because we could learn how to use effective revision techniques so that we're remembering what we need to know for the exams.
We also learnt about emotions and stuff, and like how to control them if you feel stressed or angry, and that was really useful for like the lead up to the end of year exams because it's quite stressful.
Brilliant. So that leads us nicely on to academic matters. So senior schools are set up differently to primary schools. You have a variety of different subjects, a variety of different teachers, and people delivering those across the campus as well. How did you guys find that? What kinds of subjects were new to you when you first arrived at the school, and what have you kind of enjoyed about that change?
So originally in my old school we only had science as one subject, and now that they're split into 3, and I found that really interesting that I got to learn like more in depth in biology, chemistry and physics. So we got to like extend our knowledge on each of the subjects separately. I also had never done drama at my old school. Even though I've done drama outside of school, it was interesting to learn about more of the technical and like vocabulary used.
So one of the subjects that was new to me was ethos, and in ethos we learn about, we do debating, and we recently did a class debate where we split into teams of 2, and we would argue against and for a debate, a statement that the house would give to us.
A subject that was new to me was German, and I had done French in my old school, but it was really interesting to learn another language because I had only learned one. And this was completely different, so it was quite fun.
Good, pleased to hear it. And homework, one of the big things that people think about when they move into secondary school is about homework and how much homework we have. Mrs. Chetwood, do you want to talk about homework allocations?
Well, I think almost my favourite bit of news is to tell pupils that there will be absolutely no homework for the first 2 weeks of term. So as pupils are settling in, there's no homework. And then in the 3rd week, we start to have homework, and then it starts to be phased in gradually from that point. So pupils have a full homework timetable by the end of the first half term.
Good. And so how do you guys find the homework?
At my old school we didn't have homework, so it was a step up, but I liked how the school like gradually phased us in, and at the beginning while we were finding our way around and just like taking the transition, there wasn't any homework, and then they slowly started to build it up from having 1 piece a day to 2 pieces a day, and I think that how they did that made it a lot more manageable.
If we're struggling with the homework, then we can always email the teacher and ask for some help. And I had that with my physics homework, and my teacher, she was really nice and she helped me. She talked me through how to just tackle the questions, and it really helped me understand physics a lot better.
If you need to do some homework like urgently, there's a space in the library where you can do it, and that's really useful because in my old school we didn't have that. So if you don't have time to do it like after school, you can always do it at lunch or break.
Can I also add as well that we have something called the Academic Support Club. So if you are struggling with any subject or any homework, then you can actually also go along one evening after school, and you have prefects, sixth formers who will help on individual subjects.
I also have a maths mentor, which is sixth former, who helps me with maths every Thursday morning, and we meet, and any questions that I've been struggling I can just go through with her, and I find that really helpful that somebody who's already learnt it all and been through it recently can help me.
Yeah, very good. That does sound very, very helpful indeed. Now, Gracie, earlier you mentioned end of year exams. That might have caused a few people to sit up straight when they heard that. Tell me about those end of year exams. What was the structure of those and how did they go for you?
So there was an exam in most subjects, and it was in a big hall. It was quite scary for the first time we heard about it, because I'd never really done a proper end of year exam before. But the teacher's really helpful on doing tips on how to revise and things. So eventually it was really it was fine.
Okay. Any other reflections on end of year exams?
They're not that similar from the entrance exam that we did in year 6. So once you do that, you kind of get used to it, especially on the first test. So after that, I think we all felt quite relaxed about the whole process. And as Grace said, there were revision periods where we could look over subjects that we were finding hard, and we could use past papers, and we can also use flashcards and any techniques that we find helpful.
On Firefly, which is the platform that all of the revision materials are on and all of our homework tasks, there'll be, for any subject, a list of what needs to be revised, and then they'll usually have past papers or past questions and any other materials that we'll need to revise. And I found that really helpful because it meant that I could look at that, and if there was anything else that I didn't understand, I could email my teacher. As well as that, the week before exams, all of the teachers, we were planning for the exams and did revision lessons instead of just normal lessons.
So just going back to a few of the logistical things when you first started in the school, a couple of you have mentioned about the scale, the size of the school. Emanuel, I guess, is a bigger campus than what you were used to. How did that go? How was it for you? Did you get lost? What happened when you were lost?
So luckily in our class we had people who had been there from year 6, so they would help us and they would guide us and they would tell us where to go. And if we did get lost, then we could just we could look at our maps that we were given at the beginning of the year, and it would tell us where the classrooms are, and we could see how to get there from where we are.
Also, there was lots of teachers or students who were older and had been through the school before, and I felt that it was always easy to ask the friendly teachers or older students if they knew where a specific classroom was.
I think me and my friends got lost a couple times on the way to lessons, but the teachers in the lesson were really understanding in the first few weeks, so they didn't mind if we were late, because they knew it was big and we didn't know our way around yet.
Very good. Very, very pleased to hear it. Okay, so now my final question to all of you is any particular piece of advice that you would pass on to somebody who is about to join the school? So maybe for you guys, if you imagine what it would be like speaking to yourself a year or 2 years ago before you started the school, what sort of singular piece of advice would you pass on? But I'll go to the teachers first. I won't put you on the spot immediately. So Mrs. Chetwood, any particular advice that you've got to somebody who's about to join the school?
I would say that it doesn't matter whatever happens in your first few weeks of school. There will be times that you find things are difficult, and I would say don't worry about that and come and find somebody. So either your form tutor, your head of year, or me looking after the lower school. Come and share whatever your worries are, because it's our job to look after you, and we really do want to get to know you, and we'll help you with whatever those worries are. So just to say again, I think the main thing is to share whatever those worries are so that we can help you.
My biggest piece of advice would be to get stuck in. Dive in and try everything that's out there. There's so much on offer, particularly in the first few weeks, and that's the best way to get to know people, is to just try lots of clubs, go to the clubs and societies fair, sit with different people in the refectory at lunchtime, and just have a go at everything, really.
Great, thank you very much. Good advice from the teachers. Now what about from the pupils?
Even though you might struggle with one thing at the beginning of the year, like say you are unorganised or you couldn't find somebody to sit and eat lunch with, it will change and it will always get better, and no matter what happens at the beginning of the year, it doesn't stay the same.
My advice would be even if you're like struggling and worrying about like the amount of work and something like that, just think that other people are going through this too. Like everyone else is going through the same thing as you, so you're not alone.
I would say if you're really struggling and you don't know how to do a type of question, I would say go and ask a teacher for help, because they will help you and they'll give you the help that you need, and you can get one-to-one sessions, which are really nice, and they help you to learn the skill that you're trying to get help on better, and that you can do this because you're capable of doing what the teachers are teaching you.
Very good. Lots of useful and very, very helpful hints and tips there. One of the things that was said to me once, and I've observed over time, is just how exhausting it is those first few weeks and months in school. And in fact, I did a little bit of research on this once, and speaking to pupils, and the most tired you are at any point during your school life is actually the penultimate Thursday before October half term in your very first term at the school. So you've done all of that hard work at settling in, and then you're looking forward to your October half term, but on that Thursday, the weekend before the actual holiday itself, you can't quite see the holiday, so you feel quite exhausted. So my big tips out there to parents is on that Thursday, penultimate Thursday, the first half of term, have something really delicious waiting at home for your children to eat, so that they can just come home, settle down, rest, and have a really good evening. Mrs. Chetwood, you mentioned earlier that you're a parent of the school. Is there any particular pieces of information that you might pass on to parents to help them with the settling in process?
I would say that I think the transition to secondary school is one of the biggest that you'll do in your life. I don't think we should underestimate it. I think it's huge, that change from being at the top of the school to being at a new, huge school when you're 11 or 12. So I would say don't underestimate how tired you're going to be. And so if you or your child have a club outside of school, I would say just stop that for that first term, so that all you're doing is school, because there's so much that school has to offer. You can really make yourself really busy just doing the school stuff. So that was what I would say, so that you're not so exhausted.
I wanted to add that I think that I've found lots of new things and things that I enjoy that I wouldn't have found if I hadn't been to this school. And by joining new clubs, for example, I joined the rowing club. I've never tried rowing before, and I think it's helped me find passions and things that I've enjoyed that I wouldn't have found otherwise.
Brilliant. That's really, really great to hear, and I think an excellent way for us to finish this episode of the Emanuel Echo. So thank you very much indeed to you, Mrs. Chetwood, and to Miss Wells, and thank you to Idris, Gracie and Sofia for your input. Until next time, listeners, we've been the Emanuel Echo.